Greetings. Thank you for joining today's webinar, Load Balancing Best Practices and Strategic Guidance, a practical guide highlighting key strategies to solve complex business problems. My name is Rochelle Wheeler, and I am joined today by our Principal Solutions Architect, Frank Cotto. Before we begin, I'd like to cover a few housekeeping items. There is a questions panel located in the bottom portion of your screen. You may need to either expand that panel by clicking the plus sign or the down arrow to see the full view. We will take questions at the end of today's presentation. You are encouraged to submit those questions via the questions panel at any time. Today's session is being recorded, and the recording will be made available at its conclusion. I will now hand today's presentation over to Frank. Frank?
All right. Thank you, Rochelle. First and foremost, thank you for attending this webinar and investing some of your time with me today. It is truly appreciated. We're going to be digging in together on some load balancing best practices with the intent of highlighting how the right load balancer and load balancing architecture can help you solve seemingly complex business problems. I'm going to do my best to make load balancing best practices as interesting as possible. But rest assured, if I fail at being entertaining, I will make up for it with presentation agility. Let's dig in. If you are here, you are likely responsible to meet the demands on the screen, or you work for someone who is. Sure, these 3 points are an overgeneralization, but nevertheless, they do well to describe the demands that the business side of an organization has for IT operation teams of today. Always on application availability plus optimal user experience. Secure but easy access to all business critical applications. Seamless and seemingly limitless scalability. Simple, right? I'm sure you can all architect an environment that checks all these boxes. But have you read the fine print? Okay, in comes the age-old challenge. All demands outlined above must be attainable within your predefined IT budget. And so I think we've set the stage for this presentation. Now let's take this step by step and start by tackling always-on availability and optimal user experience. Now, fair disclosure, this indeed is a load balancing strategy webinar and not a server architecture or application design discussion. So let me just erase those two lines for you. There, now we can proceed. I'll discuss some benefits a load balancer has on poorly written applications, but in general, we'll leave app design to the app team. Now that we are presuming the applications in question meet all user experience expectations, the question becomes, how do we preserve that optimal user experience? As umbrella drinks and all-you-can-eat buffets are to an optimal vacation experience, resilience and performance are to an optimal application user experience. Resilience means your applications are always available, and maintaining always-on availability requires balanced distribution of traffic across multiple servers based on intelligent server health checks and load balancing algorithms, balancing of traffic across multiple sites to ensure no matter where your clients are, they are near to your applications. Performance is indeed obtained by ensuring balanced load, but it also involves compressing files, caching content, offloading encryption, all to reduce the load across your application server farms. Load balancers do much more than just load balance traffic. Server load balancers today include the ability to ensure availability, scalability, and resiliency via a myriad of capabilities. Distributing traffic across your server farm based on intelligent application-aware algorithms, as opposed to just providing round-robin distribution, content switching to direct traffic based on request parameters, modify requests and responses to adjust outcomes. Health checking is a pivotal component that requires granular configuration to ensure the health of a server represents its ability to handle user requests. SSL termination and the support of multiple SNIs and their certificates means you can support multiple applications and multiple backend server pools via a single public IP and virtual service. Compression and caching optimization at the load balancer means requests and responses are optimized before they even reach your servers. Support for Kubernetes ingress controller extends enterprise-grade traffic management, security, and observability into containerized environments where applications demand agility and scale. As more resilience and performance features were developed, load balancers started to shift toward being called application delivery controllers around the mid 2000s, evolving from being simple traffic distributors into multi-function devices that optimize, accelerate, and secure application delivery, making the term load balancer feel just too narrow. In the pursuit of always-on availability, local server load balancing is only part of the story. Global server load balancing delivers critical, high availability for applications that are geographically dispersed anywhere in the world, whether deployed on-prem or in the cloud. Distribution based on availability, geolocation, server load, and more means a site failure or distance-based latency is no longer a threat to your application access. By intelligently distributing traffic across multiple sites, GSLB is as much a resiliency feature as it is a performance optimization feature. Tackling the next demand on IT operations, we have a look at ensuring your applications are highly secure and easy to access, whether they are deployed on-prem, in the cloud, and even if they don't support modern authentication. Sitting between your clients and your server farms, a load balancer stands as an intelligent gateway. Therefore, a load balancing strategy that does not include consideration for IP reputation blocking, pre-authentication, single sign-on, web application firewall, or upholding zero trust network access is lacking. Pre-authentication produces granular access control capabilities enacted before a user's request for access ever touches your application server. Single sign-on means that easy access requirement is met. Authenticate once, be prompted minimally, and have access to all load balanced applications you are authorized to access, carrying with you a unique access token. Support for all major identity providers such as Active Directory, LDAP, Radius, SAML, OIDC, and OAuth. Support for client authentication using two-factor tokens and digital certificates enables you to meet modern authentication standards for new and legacy applications. By running inline on the load balancer, Web Application Firewall inspects the filtered traffic at the application layer to block malicious requests before they reach your web applications. If you take a globally recognized standard for web application security and implement it in front of your application workloads, you guarantee all your applications adhere to the same high security standards no matter the application. With WAF enabled on your load balancer, the same device that distributes traffic is also analyzing for threats such as SQL injections, cross-site scripting, remote file inclusion, and WASP's top 10 vulnerabilities. WAF is also careful to strike the right balance between strengthening your web application security and ensuring legitimate users enjoy a seamless, optimized application performance. Via the tuning of paranoia levels to define the breadth of inspection and anomaly scoring to define response severity, WAF can be configured to implement security that's both effective and practical. A small side note, be on the lookout for the release of OWASP's Top 10 2025 rules in late summer or early fall of this year. A security strategy incredibly popular among IT leadership and maybe not so popular among those who have to implement and maintain it, zero trust network architecture adoptions are nonetheless growing like wildfire. As you are probably aware, zero trust principles cannot be carried out solely by a load balancer or application delivery controller. That said, leveraging the capabilities of a load balancer to uphold zero trust principles is a strong pragmatic move. Authenticating before establishing connections based on available inputs around identity, context, or other conditions, providing policy-based just-in-time and just enough access for required tasks, providing multi-factor authentication and single sign-on capabilities, minimizing lateral movement within the protected environment through app segmentation based on context awareness, inspecting and enforcing via WAF or OWASP Top 10, bot protection, DDoS protections via verbose rate limiting, and header hardening via content switching. Implementing zero trust controls on the load balancer, or ADC, is one of the fastest ways to raise your security baseline with minimal app changes. Let's have a look at a specific attack type and talk through how the security capabilities of a load balancer can stop an attack in its tracks. A bot-based attack is a coordinated cyber attack carried out by automated programs or bots that are controlled by an attacker. These attacks are dangerous because they can scale quickly, adapt dynamically, and overwhelm defenses without requiring constant human input. A bot based attack flows through the stages of infection, command and control, attack, and maintenance. Defenders must implement layered security to break this chain at the earliest stage possible. Protecting against bot based attacks that has gotten past your service provider and firewall is possible via multiple layers of inline security a load balancer provides. Layered security features like IP reputation lists, rate limiting, web application firewall, pre-authentication, and zero trust network access thwarts the efforts of a botnet attacker trying to attack your applications. Okay, we are at the last business demand on IT operations: seamless. I have heard countless engineers ask for it and have met this topic in countless RFPs. Zero downtime appliance failovers, zero downtime server failovers, appliance firmware updates with zero downtime. The question is really, can we sustain server failures, appliance failures, administer updates, scale up or down without our users being impacted and receiving complaints from the business? Limitless scalability, led by the word seemingly, is certainly selective wordplay. Truthfully, nothing is limitless, but elastic scale is nevertheless the best approach to ensuring you can grow your load balancing architecture to meet business demands. Be able to load balance your load balancers in efforts to scale up or down in pursuit of the performance or resilience your applications demand. Per app load balancing enables the ultimate control by dedicating an entire load balancing instance to a single application. Now, an architecture that supports the kind of scale we just discussed is half the battle. The other half of the battle ties back into the action statement in our business demands discussion. All demands outlined must be attainable within the predefined IT budget. While subscription-based licensing has not necessarily won many popularity awards, it is the foundation of making consumption-based scale possible. Take subscription licensing and decouple it from the individual instance, and you have essentially removed the roadblock, or at least the slowdown, that is the licensing procurement process. What if your load balancing vendor removed the friction of the procurement process by providing pooled license subscriptions? You subscribe to an overall throughput. You have the freedom of licensing load balancers in varying capacities, upgrading, downgrading licenses as you please. If you should consume all of your throughput, you are not blocked from adding the additional throughput that the business demands. Instead, you are allowed to expand instance throughput and have your vendor reach out to you to upgrade your subscription without inhibiting your ability to scale. Lastly, to scale effectively and with minimum impact to user experience, you need to scale proactively. Proactive scaling or issue remediation is made possible via centralized insights. Access to centralized insights provides a consolidated view of your load balancing architecture, highlighting the health balancer, resource utilization, active incidents, application health, and certificate lifecycle information. Appliance resiliency insights focus in on the health and state of highly available pairs, model information, license information, and firmware versions. Application analytics and telemetry provide real-time insights into connection rate, concurrency, and protection. User experience insights outline client connection information, top client IPs, top request URLs being handled by your load balancers. Application performance insights outline user experience-based network performance metrics of the network and for your servers. Application access security monitoring produces essential insights into how many single sign-on sessions your load balancers are handling and the success or failure of authentication attempts. And finally, WAF insights and tuning outline handled request counts, top blocked IPs, top executed rules, top blocked URLs, and false positive insights to assist you with tuning your WAF implementation. As I'm sure no one is surprised, the business problem-solving solutions and deployment architectures we've discussed today are being proven and leveraged by thousands of customers across the globe who are leveraging Progress Kemp LoadMaster's product line. Progress Kemp LoadMaster is far more than a load balancing solution, providing access to key features and deployment architectures that can assist you with authenticating users, controlling access, protecting applications, optimizing user experience, and delivering an always-on application experience. LoadMaster is a highly available, highly elastic solution that takes minutes to deploy and license. So Supported by a centralized visibility platform called LoadMaster 360, actionable insights are always a click away. Automate deployment, management, and scale with a fully featured REST API. LoadMaster can still be deployed where you want and consumed how you want. LoadMaster can be deployed as hardware, as a virtual appliance in Hyper-V, VMware, Zen, and KVM environments up in Azure, AWS, or in Google Cloud. Perpetual licensing is still available on all platforms. Pay-as-you-go licensing is available on cloud, and subscription-based pool licensing is supported on virtual and on cloud. Licensed pool subscriptions are available in a range of sizes to meet your business requirements. Pool subscription may be upgraded on demand, allowing painless scaling of capacity. Seamlessly assign, recover, or resize LoadMaster licenses from a flexible pool with our subscription pooled licensing. Scale effortlessly and meet growing business objectives. Progress Kemp LoadMaster ensures business critical apps are always on, secure yet simple to access, and able to scale without limits, all within predictive costs. It delivers the outcomes that business demands without compromise. Thank you for investing time with us today. Please submit any questions you might have, and we will spend some time now answering them as they come in.
Hi, Frank. So I see a few questions in the questions panel.
Awesome.
The first question that I see here is it involves scalability. What are some hidden costs or overlooked factors organizations should consider before assuming their environment can scale without limits?
Oh, it's a good question, very in depth. So I think license model options and, of course, technical onboarding are probably the biggest hidden cost that may not be assessed or discussed, while you're onboarding a new solution. Scaling infrastructure is pretty straightforward, right? But licensing spend and expertise are oftentimes where organizations end up stumbling. And so, you address these sort of hidden costs by ensuring, of course, that whatever solution you select is consumable in a number of different ways, right? Even just presenting as a organization multiple different consumption options represents that that organization looks to partner with their customers and align with their business objectives, right? So that's a major component. And then, of course, ensure that the solution is easy, you know, generally easy to onboard and to train your staff on, right? The reality becomes this: if you're implementing a tool set to optimize scalability and functionality, but your team is not optimized to be able to deploy and use it, that's a problem. Of course, you should be measuring vendor support in this realm as well.
Okay. I have another question for you. Do you think the greater challenge for meeting technology and process demands lies in the technology limitations or in how the organization structures their IT processes?
That's a good question. It's I guess the answer is neither, or rather, not a or question, but an and question,
Okay.
right? So technology limitations are just as important are as IT processes, right? If your processes support a really good response to the need for scale or feature implementation, but your technology does not support it, those features, then I mean, you're really not able to adjust or meet the need. In the same breath, right? If you have fantastic technology solutions with all of the features that you would need, but not the right processes to implement scale, like automation or understanding the triggers that would dictate scale, then you're in a bad situation, right? So it's a balance, right? Technology and process should be certainly balanced.
Okay. Another one here for you. Let's see. You mentioned the fine print being the budget. What strategies have you seen succeed in delivering enterprise grade capabilities without blowing up the IT budget?
Okay. Um, So really what it comes down to, I think, is consolidation and prioritization, right? So I know, there are separate perspectives on whether customers B should be looking at tool sets that do multiple jobs of different products in one, and the same argument exists in the opposite direction. What it really comes down to, though, right, is you should be looking at platforms that do multiple jobs well when you can. Like, for example, an application delivery controller that does your load balancing, like we discussed during the presentation, as well as SSO offload and WAF. Um, and so, understanding, or rather, consuming a solution that does multiple or meets checks multiple boxes is obviously going to provide some budget alleviation, right? And then prioritize projects, I think, by business impact, right? Instead of just chasing the shiniest new uh, technology or product that comes across your screen. Rather than take that approach, I would prioritize the onboarding of solutions, the acquisition of solutions based on what projects you have ahead of you, and prioritize those projects based on business needs and objectives, right? Um, that may be pretty high level, right? I think we can certainly dive deeper in a separate conversation.
The next question, Frank, deals with
Mhm.
AI.
Mhm.
The question is, as AI and automation continue to expand, how do you see these demands, availability, security, scalability, evolving in the next 3 to 5 years?
It wouldn't be a webinar question section without the mention of AI nowadays, right? So, and
No.
great question, right? I think the AI's presence as it comes to scalability and resiliency is really going to take form in the realm of automation, right? So, AI-driven automation will handle deployment, scale. Uh, we talked about security and intelligent responses, right? So AI is certainly going to be automating responses to different detections that occur on the network. And so, speed of adaption is probably going to be the more targeted focal point when you look at AI and application delivery controllers, right? So, how quickly can IT pivot and pivot with the business, right? How can we implement these solutions as fast as possible to not hinder business objectives and growth? So, I guess the whether your vendor has AI built in today or not, I think what's more important is the solution's ability to be automated via AI. So, like, you know, toting, of course, the LoadMaster product again, right? Having a fully encompassing REST API built into the product, right, enables tool sets like AI tool sets to, again, deploy, license, scale, configure, maintain, so on and so forth. So, that is certainly, I think, where AI is going to have a foothold in the conversation of load balancing and application delivery controllers.
Okay. Another one for you here. How do you recommend evaluating vendors and partners to ensure their solutions don't just meet today's needs, but remain flexible?
I think, can you hear me, Rochelle? I think you might have broken up there, but I think I heard the question around flexibility and meeting today's needs, right? So, what I would say from an answer perspective there, look for consumption options that really align with your deployment goals, right? I can't highlight enough how important it is to ensure that the way that you license your solutions aligns with business objectives, but also aligns with the ability to automate and scale based on what the business needs, right? So flexibility for today and for tomorrow, I think, revolve around the flexibility of how you can consume the solutions that your vendors are positioning to you. And so evaluation around just the nature of a vendor to be flexible and have flexible options is really important. Then I would say look for roadmap alignment. Ensure that a product's roadmap or even a company's roadmap around their full product portfolio aligns with where you are yearn to go, right? And to grow to. That's probably one of the most important points, right? And then lastly, have a look at your vendor's full portfolio, right? Is all they do load balancing, and that may be okay, right? As long as, of course, their product roadmap is driven toward investing in cloud native and AI features.
Mhm.
But you may want to also look at what else they have to offer, right? So if you are dealing with an organization, well, like Progress, right, where the say we were looking at an ADC, that product belongs to a portfolio of products inside of a business unit that is geared toward providing solutions categorically, like infrastructure management and operations, right? Where LoadMaster sits alongside network monitoring tools, network detection and response tools, infrastructure monitoring, DevSecOps tools, right? I think that's really important around ensuring that the relationship that you're beginning to establish with your or you're looking to establish with your vendor is something that will stand the test of time, right? And then I guess, in a more generalized perspective, just choose partners who involve with you, right? That are not just checking today's boxes, right? That you would imagine will check tomorrow's boxes.
Mhm. And I have one last question for you here, and it's in regards to, I guess, business culture. So the question is, how can IT teams shift the culture so business leaders view them as strategic enablers instead of cost centers?
Well, I am. I mean, it's a it's an interesting question, but I think if you are in an organization where the business views you and your IT operations teams as a cost center, then obviously that's the wrong sort of relationship. That said, I won't. Let's not get into the semantics of it. So the reality becomes, as an IT organization, you have to be able to speak the business language, right? As a vendor and as a technical um, employee of Progress, right, on the pre-sale side of things, and as a solutions architect, I have to learn how to speak the business language, right? Because oftentimes the individuals that are making the decisions around acquiring our solutions are the individuals that closely align with the business. And so I guess my recommendation would be to speak the business language, right? Instead of saying things like, 99.999% uptime, say we protected 2 million in e-commerce revenue by ensuring, you're able to access or our clients are able to access these solutions, and they can scale, right? So that translation reframes IT as a value creator. So yeah, so speak business language, translate what you're doing in resiliency, performance, and everything I've said predominantly in this conversation to how you save the business money and ultimately how you enable the business to grow. I think that will do the best to fill in that gap, right?
Okay, Frank, that was the final question that we had in the queue. I guess we'll give it a second to see if there are any additional questions. Okay. So it looks like that was our final question. I would like to thank everyone for attending today's webinar. As I mentioned at the start of the session, you will receive an email containing a link to the recording from today's webinar. Feel free to watch that at your convenience or share it with your peers. Frank and I, we both thank you, and we look forward to seeing you at additional webinars.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Bye.